So what breaks in your speakers, your ears, or both? And the reason for this question is when these ELACs first came in, of course I hooked them up and I'm like, sound kind of boring.
Not like your voice. Jonesy says that your voice is deep and chocolatey in the theater.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm trying to reduce this echo in this room. If I speak quieter and closer, it'll help out. Yeah. So I put them on, and I was these sound kind of boring. Right? And then I listened for a few days, and I'm like, oh, it's starting to sound better, sounding better. Now, what's really happening? Is it the speakers are breaking in? Because I bet you that if I measure them before and after, it's going to measure the same.
I agree.
Right. So what I think is happening is I'm getting used to the sound compared to what was hooked up before. Those have a different frequency response. And what I said in the video, I'm still getting used to this room. So what do you guys think? Is it your speakers, your ears? Yeah. What's happening here?
I've never really been a big fan of break-in, and sometimes even the factory, they will, quote, break them in anyway. Like they're going to, just for whatever, I mean, they'll play them for X amount of hours before they even package them up. So, and I don't know if that's for everybody, but I know I've had brands mention to me before they even sent them to me. They said, hey, we put 100 hours on them already. I'm like, okay. That's
what they really mean is we check them to make sure that these are the best sounding ones that we have.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want to cherry pick that shit.
Maybe that's all it was. And so it may not happen with all of them, but I've never had any speaker brand new out of the box and a week later or 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later say, man, these are better than what I remember. You know, I've just never done that. So
I don't think I've ever done that either. I don't really get into the speaker break-in. I mean, I believe that it is possible it's not possible. Like some speakers physically will break in a little bit over time, but I think if you have a speaker that takes like days, weeks to break in, then that's an issue. That's
you got a crappy speaker.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. Now I think there possibly could be a little bit of break in with a subwoofer.
Just woofers in general.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
woofers. Anything that has a big spider on it, because they have to impregnate, the spiders with some resin, to stiffen them up or anything like that. And so as they break in, I think that resin can kind of break up. And you can change the parameters. I mean, you can physically measure them.
Chana's still going
stuck on the impregnators. What are we talking about here?
Impregnate those spiders.
Stuff is happening in Alabama.
Why don't you just hit your speaker and apologize? Okay,
I'm impregnable.
Impregnate.
You remember when Tyson said that, Mike Tyson? I'm impregnable. Anyway, yeah, he said that. So you've actually measured that. You've measured the difference with drivers, and you've even mentioned sometimes when it's cold, it affects the measurements. Absolutely. So there are things that can affect the sound.
Yes, there are. But I think at some point though, it's as far as like measurements and physical properties of things, I think they kind of wash out. It's a net loss or a net break even, I guess, in the end. So I would not worry about breaking a speaker in for 20 weeks before it's going to sound good.
20 weeks? What?
I just crazy. You should see some of the stuff that people say. Well, it's 500 hours. I'm like somebody broke down, I think one time where this company had a break-in period that was almost longer than the warranty period. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was like, I wonder well for them.
What are these people talking about?
I knew Reggie was going to be up on this on all caps. He's killing it today. Reggie says,
I think his keyboard's
he says speakers are mechanical. They need break-in.
Speakers.
I had to say it like that.
That's
so whenever I'm in a situation where everything's in the living room, which is perfect because I'll unbox the speaker, shoot all of that, and then just leave them there for a week. And like the system's on for like 8-10 hours a day. So whatever, it's going to be a mixture of vocals and like whatever shows my wife is watching, reality shows, news shows, whatever. And then like I might toss on a movie and then I'll sit down like a week or two into it and be like, okay, these have probably been used enough for other people's like comfort, right? Like, because I really don't care. Like I will just start, just banging them out, right? Like, because that's, usually playing some techno.
I think you just want to play them loud. I think that it's just your excuse to just play them loud. You're like, I'm breaking them in.
I'm reviewing the speaker, babe. What do you mean? Does it need to be this loud?
I have to.
I have to. This is what I'm working.
I've had people ask me, like, what do you how do you recommend breaking in the speaker? And I just say, play some music to them.
Just use them, yeah.
I mean, there's no scientific method. It's not like you got to play, at a certain volume for X amount of hours before you really crank them up. Just let it rip.
Well,
I've never had a speaker start smoking when I pull it out of the box and I crank it up ever.
I will say
Does that even happen?
I remember JL used to say. JL used to say something about like to excite the speaker. I don't know, like play the test tone at FS at resonance and excite it for so long just to make sure or something. And this was a while back.
I'm over here apologizing to speakers. Aaron's over there exciting speakers.
He's exciting it so he can impregnate the spiders.
He's yes, because he's from JL. Look, he's got his JL on. First it was a Best Buy shirt, now the JL audio shirt.
I've had this shirt for 10 years now. Can you believe that? I bought it huge and it still fits. That's right. That's what you do, ladies and gentlemen. You buy a shirt for you to grow into.
There it is.
And spandex pants. Spanx.
There you go.
Kanga said a while back, can you guys speak to something that you can hear that's not showing in measurements? And this is on topic because I think what's happening is a lot of times, when's the last time you measured your hearing or your preference or things like that? So I think those things are likely to have some shifts.
Yep.
So how well you can hear, what you prefer.
Time, yeah.
So
different ears hear different frequencies.
I think that's more likely to change than the speaker sound.
Yeah, especially like if you listen to a speaker at a high volume for a long time. I mean, my ears it feels like they're just getting stuffy. It's weird.
Yeah, I take a lot of care, especially when I'm DJing. Like when people come to the booth area, like when I was doing the whatever at the ski resort, and he's like, "Hey, it's not loud up here." I'm like, "No, dude. I have a volume control on my booth monitor because that's like right in my ear. So I turn it off. Like, because most PAs are fully directional. So if they're over 4 or 5 feet away, their dispersion 75 degrees, straight ahead. So I'm not hearing anything, unless I have my personal monitor here. Which also means if you're ever at a party and the DJ doesn't have a personal monitor, they have no idea what they're doing. Yeah,
there you go.
Probably a bit of sign of a bad DJ. But anyway, I keep that pretty low. And even here, when I do my stream, I have IEMs and it's low. It's low. I'm hearing everything in my headphones. Like Joe's always making fun. He's like, I'm bumping it harder than Techno Dad is. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to blow out my ears.
Well, you can tell when somebody's DJing and somebody's just like,
yeah,
like you're listening at a low volume, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
What does high volume look like?
Well, he's just like.
I think the cool part about DJing at events that have like a big sound system, when I have both songs up and I take my headphones off, I'm just listening to the difference in vibrations, right? And I can kind of hear what's happening, but it's mostly if I like adjust one song, the vibrations will change, and I'm like, oh nope. Got to put it back. Dude. And then it all like vibe or like vibrate like in what is it in unison?
Yeah, you're like Daredevil. Then you see via vibration, you see sound.
Yeah, especially on that fungus.
I need to go check out Daredevil now that I have this OLED. Maybe I can see something for once. Look. Turns on the shroom volume and lower the speaker. They need to get on your level.
Just tripped out.
Oh, it's funny.
Lambo. FOMO in the house talking about Lambos again.
FOMO, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate it.
Spandex YouTubers.
Logan Paul.
Yeah. My favorite spandex. Oh, yes. You know what?
HiFi Summit coming up 24th, 28th. So to answer the question, I think it's your ears mostly, maybe a tiny bit of your speakers, but probably not audible. It's more like, your phone has that nighttime mode where the screen turns yellow, turns like the blue light filter.
Right.
When it first happens, you're like, what? Everything turned yellow, right? But then after a while, you get used to it, and then everything that yellow now looks white to you, and then when it turns back to normal, you're like, whoa, everything's blue again. So it's one of those things. Your eyes take time to adjust, your ears take time to adjust, and I think that's most of it. And so as a reviewer, I think it's important to know that, because then you might start attributing it to the actual speaker itself or break-in or other things where it's not. So that's where I'm at with that. I don't know if you guys agree or not.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, I do.